Welcome to Rank Rhino, where you can learn it all. Today, we're taking a look at the top 10 fantasy series in the 21st century. We got inspired to make this video after one of us got hooked on a specific fantasy show that's on this ranking and just couldn't help but research the topic. So, we're going to the fantasy TV series that do the best job of transferring the viewer into a mythical world gets them hooked to keep watching. We've also taken into account IMDb ratings for this one. Number 10. Moon Knight.
Let's all just like chill the F out and talk for a second.
Moon Knight was released at the beginning of this year and it quickly became one of the most mesmerizing and immersive MCU series thanks to its fantastic visuals and multi-layered story. The show is loosely based on the Marvel comics of the same name. It follows Stephen Grant, a man who works in a gift shop at the National Art Gallery in London who also happens to have dissociative identity disorder, DID.
You know what? I think you can take this one, Mark.
Hurry up, idiots!
The show moves at a rapid pace, with every episode introducing new characters, plot elements, and layers to Stephen's identity. Moon Knight is also the franchise that brought the Egyptian mythology into the MCU for the first time, introducing Marvel fans to an entirely new world. You're introduced to the Egyptian gods, their avatars, and the powers they grant said avatars. You also get thrown into a wild, confusing adventure as the main character shifts between his two personas, Stephen Grant and the mercenary Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight. Number 9. Shadow and Bone.
Your tracker friend also liked it when I put him on his back.
Shadow and Bone is a brilliant adaptation of Leigh Bardugo's novel by the same name, with it not straying much from the original plot. The series is based in a chaotic world in which it follows army cartographer Alina Starkov. The main character realizes that she has extraordinary powers and that she's a Grisha, a master of small science. These newly found abilities could be the key to Alina setting her homeland free from a monstrous entity called the Fold, which fills her world with creatures called Volcra.
You can't light a doorway on your own. What would you amplify?
When Kerrigan touched.
What differentiates Shadow and Bone from most fantasy franchises is the fact that it's not filled with mystical magical powers. Alina can't create something from nothing. Instead, she can manipulate light. The thing is that these powers might just be what her homeland needs to free itself from the Fold. Combined with its original story, Shadow and Bone is a must-watch for any fantasy fan. Number 8. Interview with the Vampire.
You don't have to humiliate him. Well, I don't say that you have to enjoy it!
Interview with the Vampire is a great modern take on Anne Rice's 1976 gothic novel, and it does a fantastic job of showcasing what a conversation with this type of mythical creature might be. The story is graphic, abundant, and seemingly raunchy, it following the tale of Louise de Pointe du Lac and Lestat de Lioncourt, two undead lovers that are constantly breaking up and making up in the setting of a modern New Orleans.
And that is loneliness. You can't imagine the emptiness.
The series focuses on the story of Louis, who, as a black man in the 1910s, felt he had no choice but to take Lestat's offer to join him as a vampire. The story of the two vampires is told by journalist Daniel Molloy in a very dramatic, colorful way, and it's full of love and fury, keeping the viewer interested at all times. Number 7. The Outlander.
I meant it. I have a wife.
Are you?
The Outlander features a ton of realism with it occurring during the Jacobite Rising rebellion in the 18th century. The show follows a World War II nurse called Claire Randall who gets magically transported back to 1743 in Scotland. When she gets transported there, she encounters a Highland warrior named Jamie Fraser who she falls in love with and proceeds to marry.
Not marry her.
You're not going anywhere.
You cannot stop me.
As Claire is married back in her life in the 20th century, you can imagine the drama of this seemingly impossible romance. She becomes the surgeon of Castle Lock, this being her way of helping the rebellion and her new husband from the past. Sounds a bit confusing, right? The show offers a ton of dramatic moments and showcases real historic events with a cinematic spin, making it a fantastic watch for anyone who loves history and fantasy alike. Number 6. American Gods.
And some of that herb Havati.
American Gods is an amazing story that incorporates classical gods from different cultures and how they live in contemporary times while having fewer and fewer followers. The story follows Shadow Moon, a man recently released from prison who finds work as Mr. Wednesday's bodyguard. He then finds himself intertwined in a war between the new gods such as technology, money and media, and the old gods from all different cultures and mythologies.
You are gonna need some real power on your side.
The show features a ton of symbolism, retelling of fables, and appearances by beloved deities. You get to witness how gods and mythical beings from Eastern Europe, Africa, Asia, different religions, and different folktales interact and prepare for the incoming war. American Gods is also full of insane plot twists and moments that make it impossible for you not to be immersed. Number 5. The Magicians.
Dude, you're gonna leave a mark and I don't like that in a non-sexual context.
Okay.
The Magicians is one of the most realistic entries on our list, regardless of it featuring tons of actual magic. I like to think of this series as Harry Potter in the real world. It follows the story of a group of young students who get accepted into the School of Magic and start learning about all of the secrets and dangers that using magic poses.
Why?
Because I have never met anyone less willing to take no for an answer.
What sets The Magicians apart is how it depicts the use of magic. As such, it showcases how getting hooked on using magic can lead you to trauma, violence, and death. Not to mention, the show is full of a lot of foul scenes that showcase evil gods doing evil things, magicians abusing their powers, and how consequences can come back to haunt you. If you're looking for something more grown up and cynical, The Magicians is a great show. Number 4. What We Do in the Shadows.
So help me.
Vampires. Scary, dangerous, powerful, right? In most movies and shows, sure, but What We Do in the Shadows is a bit more nuanced. The show, that's based on Taika Waititi's mockumentary film of the same name, follows 4 vampire roommates in Staten Island. Each of them comes from a different background and time setting, thus introducing the comical element of there being a constant clash of cultures and mindsets.
37 wives, and you still cannot read the room and a woman needs some attention.
What We Do in the Shadows focuses on these 4 vampires interacting with the modern world and other supernatural beings that are within it. It does a great job of making fun of werewolves, ghosts, and vampirism without making the jokes corny or predictable. The script is original and creative, and the episodes offer a ton of comedic depth, something that not even some classic comedies can offer. Number 3. The Sandman.
I have recovered my sand. It brought me to...
Ever since it was announced, The Sandman, based on Neil Gaiman's comic of the same name, was by far the most anticipated fantasy series for 2022. We might be jumping the gun a bit by placing it at the 3rd spot, but in our defense, the show's first season has been simply amazing. The dark fantasy series follows Morpheus, the personification of dreams and one of the 7 Endless, the ones that are above gods.
I have to gather my offerings from the dreams of others.
I understand.
Morpheus, who's the Sandman in question, gets imprisoned by a cult ritual and held captive for over 100 years. Thus, the world of dreams suffers and begins to collapse, with humans having issues due to this. As he escapes, he sets out on a mission to restore the dreaming to its previous glory, but he first has to settle some old scores. The show also features a ton of other deities and mystical powers, including Dream's relatives, the Other Endless. Number 2. Love, Death plus Robots.
It's called a ball.
I know it's called a ball, but I'm trying to get...
Love, Death plus Robots is an animated anthology series that combines lush visuals with intriguing stories that provoke viewers to dig deeper into the meaning behind each one. The show combines many sci-fi and fantasy stories, each episode having its own plot and narrative that brings forward the topic in a unique and multi-layered way.
You okay?
Yeah.
Love, Death plus Robots is synonymous with the sentence everyone sees what they want to see. Whenever the show presents a theme, it also presents multiple points of view. This also allows it to produce diverse content, with there being something for practically everyone. The show has also won multiple awards for its animation and editing. Even if you're not a fan of some of the stories, the visuals are sure to entrance you. Number 1. Game of Thrones.
Khaleesi.
He was no dragon.
Was it ever in doubt which series would take the number 1 spot? The show, which gives life to George R.R. Martin's books, redefined the expectations of what a great fantasy show looks like, with it spanning 6 incredible seasons full of action, drama, and romance. The 9 families battling for control of the lands of Westeros have become a mainstay in pop culture, and its amazing setting inspired the launch of fantasy series like The Witcher.
Tell them winter came for House Frey.
Although some people weren't happy with the show's final season, you can't deny the huge influence that Game of Thrones had over the past years. The plot twists, the dragons, and the characters make this series a must-watch for any fantasy fan. You'll find yourself constantly shifting opinions on the characters as you become witness to their personalities unfolding and their decisions changing the dynamic of the plot. Thank you for watching, guys. Do you have a favorite fantasy show? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe.